Barack Obama's reaction to becoming a grandfather leaves fans speechless. The world has seen Barack Obama deliver historic speeches, navigate global crises, and redefine modern leadership, but nothing could prepare fans for the emotional, deeply personal reaction he revealed when he became a grandfather. When news quietly surfaced that the former president had entered this entirely new chapter of life, what followed was not a political statement, not a carefully crafted public address, but a moment so heartfelt, so raw, that it left millions around the world stunned into silence. This wasn't the Barack Obama the public usually sees at podiums and summits. This was simply a man, overwhelmed, reflective, joyful, standing at the edge of a legacy that suddenly felt bigger than history books or presidential libraries. And the way he reacted? Fans say they will never forget it. A quiet announcement that shook the internet. Unlike the explosive announcements that often come with celebrity baby news, the revelation that Barack Obama had become a grandfather arrived softly. No dramatic press conference. No flashy headlines. At first, it slipped into the public consciousness almost gently, through a brief mention during a casual conversation and later a subtle acknowledgement during a public appearance. But within hours, social media erupted. Wait, Obama is a grandfather now. Why does this hit so emotionally? I wasn't ready for this. The comments poured in from people of all ages, young voters who grew up under his presidency, older supporters who admired his leadership, and even those who once disagreed with him politically but still found something universally human in the moment. It wasn't just about age or time passing. It felt symbolic. An era was growing older. A torch was being passed, not politically, but personally. The first words that left everyone silent. What truly stunned the public, however, was not just the news, but how Obama spoke about it. During a later interview, when asked about family and life after the presidency, his voice softened. The confident cadence that once commanded nations gave way to something gentler. He paused before answering, and then he smiled. I've held a lot of titles in my life, he said quietly, but none of them hit me quite like this one. That single sentence went viral. No policies, no politics. Just pure humanity. Fans described feeling unexpectedly emotional. Some admitted they had to replay the clip multiple times. Others said it reminded them of their own parents becoming grandparents, and the way it changed everything. From world leader to grandpa-in-chief. For 8 years, Barack Obama was one of the most powerful men in the world. He sat across from kings, presidents, generals, and billionaires. Every word he spoke was analyzed, dissected, and archived for history. But becoming a grandfather rearranged his sense of scale. Friends close to the Obama family revealed that the former president now spends hours talking about things that once would have seemed small, tiny hands wrapping around his finger, the way the baby reacts to his voice, the strange shock of seeing your own child become a parent. He's still Barack Obama, one insider shared, but now he's also just grandpa. And you can tell it has changed him in the most beautiful way. Michelle Obama's emotional perspective. Michelle Obama later added her own powerful reflections, offering a glimpse into how deeply this milestone affected their entire family. You think you know what love is, she said during a public appearance, and then a grandchild arrives, and it expands your heart in ways you didn't even know were possible. Fans instantly drew connections between Michelle's words and Barack's softened presence in recent months. Together, they seemed lighter, calmer, filled with a new kind of joy, one that doesn't come from achievement, but from connection. Why this moment resonated so deeply? The overwhelming public reaction wasn't just about celebrity fascination. It struck something deeper. For many people, Barack Obama represents a moment in time, hope, change, progress, unity. Watching him step into the role of a grandfather felt like watching that era gently evolve into something more intimate and enduring. In a world often dominated by conflict, division, and headlines filled with anxiety, this moment offered something rare. A reminder that even the most powerful figures eventually return to the same human experiences as everyone else. Love, family, time. Fans react. We weren't ready for this. The comment sections told their own emotional story. I don't know why this made me cry, but it did. We watched his daughters grow up in the White House, now he's a grandfather. I feel old and emotional. This is the softest era of Obama, and I love it. From commander-in-chief to grandpa-in-chief. History is beautiful like that. Some fans even shared how Obama's journey mirrored their own, watching their children grow, struggling with the fear of aging, and then discovering that becoming a grandparent feels less like an ending and more like a powerful new beginning. How becoming a grandfather changes a man like Obama. Those who know Obama best say the transformation has been subtle but undeniable. Where he once spoke mostly about the future of democracy, social justice, and global responsibility, he now weaves in reflections about legacy, not the political kind, but the personal one. What kind of world will this child grow up in? What values will guide them? What stories will they tell? Friends say these questions now sit at the center of his thinking. And perhaps that's what left people truly speechless, the realization that even a man who once shaped global history is now focused on shaping bedtime stories. A new kind of legacy. Barack Obama's legacy will always be etched into history books, but becoming a grandfather has introduced a quieter legacy, one that doesn't require a podium or applause. It's the legacy passed on through laughter at the dinner table, through lessons whispered during walks, through the way a child learns kindness simply by watching how their grandparents live. And for someone who once carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, this new responsibility seems to bring peace rather than pressure. The moment that truly broke the internet. What finally pushed public emotion over the edge was a candid image that surfaced online, not staged, not formal. Barack Obama, seated casually, gently cradling his grandchild. No suit, no cameras officially posed, just a grandfather and a baby. The photo spread across the internet in minutes. And once again, fans were left speechless. Why this story will stay with us. In a time when headlines are often defined by conflict and chaos, this story cut through the noise with something far more powerful than controversy, quiet joy. It reminded millions that life moves forward, even after presidencies, after elections, after political storms. It reminded parents that their children will grow. It reminded grandparents that there is a kind of love that waits on the other side of time. And it reminded the world that even the most iconic leaders ultimately find their deepest meaning not in power, but in family. Final thoughts. The softest chapter yet. Barack Obama's reaction to becoming a grandfather didn't leave fans speechless because it was dramatic. It left them speechless because it was real. Because it was tender. Because it was vulnerable. Because it was universal. In that moment, he wasn't a former president, he wasn't a global symbol. He was simply a man standing at the beginning of a brand new love story, and the entire world felt it.